Testosterone, the great male hormone. The reason we say boys will be boys and why men would rather punch a wall than admit that they have feelings. I'm kidding, don't come for me. I am joking, okay? I am here to tell you that testosterone is the most important hormone for women. Wait, what? No, we're women. We have estrogen, progesterone. Testosterone, that's for men, right? Testosterone is an incredibly important hormone for women. And my best friend, this little sachet here, if you're watching this on video, the testosterone that I have prescribed on the NHS and not for libido. There's a story here. You know I love my stories. Welcome to The Feminine Duality, a podcast for midlife women where we heal from burnout and we learn how to take charge of our crazy time again. I'm trying something new with this episode. This episode is completely unscripted. I tend to write an outline for my podcast episodes so I know what it is I'm talking about and I have some kind of structure to it. And this one I am recording completely off the cuff, which means that it is either going to be the best episode I have ever recorded for The Feminine Duality, or it's going to be a complete nightmare for me to edit into something that sounds even vaguely coherent. Wish me luck. This, by the way, is a soft drink. In case you didn't know this about me, I don't drink alcohol. And that is a whole other episode. See, I'm already going off on a tangent. Right, testosterone. I wanted testosterone as part of my hormone replacement therapy. And in the UK, the NHS will only prescribe testosterone for women who have severe psychological impact due to low libido. Because that's all that testosterone is for us, right? It's just a way to help turn us on. And that's in midlife, when perimenopause has wreaked havoc with our vaginas, sex is painful, and we are just not in the mood. And even then, if all it is painful sex and not in the mood, we still don't have the right to have testosterone prescribed to us on the NHS. We have to go down the private route if we want it for anything else. It is not only that we're not in the mood, but not being in the mood is severely affecting our mental health. Then maybe we can have it. Testosterone is so much more for women than just wanting to have sex. I was joking about men punching holes in walls rather than talking about their emotions, but I was not joking when I said that testosterone is the dominant sex hormone for women. And by sex hormone, I don't mean sex as in having sex, I mean as in, what do I mean? How do you describe that? That testosterone, estrogen, progesterone are sex hormones. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. We actually produce more testosterone than estrogen, and that is a very little known fact. But throughout our reproductive life, our testosterone levels are higher than our estrogen levels. And menopause, even though both of them decline over time. Now, none of them decline nicely and steadily, although testosterone more so than estrogen, that has a tendency to jump up and down and bounce back and forth and be all over the place. But they do decline. And the testosterone decline isn't necessarily coinciding with the perimenopausal years. It can start earlier, or it can stay for much longer afterwards. And here we come into that woman to woman are so different. A woman with polycystic ovarian syndrome tends to have higher testosterone levels, which leads to unwanted body hair growth, increased weight, acne, those kinds of things. So anyone with PCOS probably saw the podcast title and went, I am not listening to that. But for a lot of other women, their testosterone levels are actually lower than what would be ideal. And testosterone has such a huge impact on the female body and mind. So what does testosterone do beyond making you feel up for it? I think it is a huge mistake talking about testosterone purely from a point of view of sexual lust. Lust is a huge part of it, but I think it's lust for life. Not just lust for sex, but lust for life, having that oomph. Testosterone gives you energy and motivation and a desire to do things, go after things. It has a huge impact on our mental health. I don't think in my research that I have seen anywhere that talks about testosterone as an antidepressant, but really if you think about it, in a depressive state, you don't have a desire to get up and go. That mojo is completely gone, right? And if that is what testosterone brings back to you, I would say that it's a pretty darn good antidepressant. It actually acts as a mood stabilizer, which again might come as quite a surprise to people because if you feel a lot of aggression amongst men, you will say, oh, there's a lot of testosterone in the room tonight. But actually, it regulates moods. It calms down aggression. Part of my perimenopause symptoms were to do with aggression, of being incapable of regulating my anger, of just completely exploding at the smallest thing, just boom, for something simple happening. And I feel so much more level-headed since I added testosterone to my hormone replacement therapy. There will be NHS doctors who tell me that testosterone is not HRT. My GP says so. She hates that I'm on testosterone. She is really not impressed with me that I managed to convince her to prescribe it for me. She keeps threatening to take it away. I will quite happily say over my dead body, love, because I'm not letting go of this if I don't have to. And yes, I will tell you the story of how I managed to convince an anti-testosterone NHS GP to prescribe this for me, because I think that story might be helpful to somebody else. Testosterone helps with muscle retention. So for any woman in midlife who finds that she's struggling to keep weight on because she's struggling to keep muscle mass, testosterone can help. And for any woman who struggle being overweight, again, for the same reason that they're struggling to maintain muscle mass, and rather than muscle mass, they have body fat tissue, testosterone can help. So for me, I'm one of the former women. I struggle to maintain my weight. If I'm ill, if I'm stressed, weight falls off me, and putting it back on is a really hard job. And I have actually, lately, I've gone up a dress size. I am so excited because I did not think that with the way my life was looking at the moment, I was going to be able to gain weight. And I have actually gained a dress size and I'm starting to feel so much more like myself. Because I don't want to be super skinny. I want to be strong. And not bodybuilder, stupid strong, just strong enough. Strong enough to move my own body, strong enough to look after my disabled child. And that, spoiler alert, that was probably my winning line in getting this prescribed for me. But let's not jump ahead. The story's coming, I promise you. Testosterone has been linked to faster recovery from osteoporotic fractures in older women. That is something that I heard today in a podcast with Dr. Kelly Casperson. I am not a medical expert, right? I am not a hormone doctor, a hormone expert. So while I'm more than happy to share my experience and a little bit of the research that I've done, I really urge you to listen to the experts. And so if you want to listen to the experts, the podcast called You Are Not Broken by Dr. Kelly Casperson is definitely one of the places you should go to. The other podcast I would really recommend is the Louise Newson podcast. Louise Newson and Dr. Kelly Casperson are leading voices and experts in the field of female hormonal health. Dr. Kelly Casperson is in the US, Dr. Louise Newson is in the UK. I have actually done an episode together with Dr. Louise Newson. I was a guest at her podcast talking about being a carer of a disabled child in perimenopause and how that impacts. So I will link, can I link an episode? I can definitely link a podcast, but I will try to link an episode. All right, my little cat has a lot of testosterone because she fights a cat twice her size. Have a look at this. That orange tomcat is twice as big as my cat is. And do you see him slink away? Because she's growled at him. And if you heard that high-pitched meow, that was the tomcat. And the very deep growl, that was my cat. We may have some more yowling. As if on cue, we may have some crashes as she decides to give him a bashing through the window here. I shall try to get through this. We're talking about testosterone. Do you two mind? I'm trying to record a podcast here. But yes, I think it is abundantly clear that testosterone does so much more for our health as women than just making us want to have sex. And I also think that as women, we have a right to feel good beyond being sexual partner. And this is why I wanted to make this episode. Why I wanted to talk about testosterone for women in general and share how I managed to get testosterone prescribed on the NHS in particular. Because we deserve the right to make these choices about our bodies, and if we do feel that this is a hormone we need, we should be allowed to get it, whether or not we are married or in a relationship with a man and wanting to have sex with him. A single woman can benefit from testosterone. A gay woman can benefit from testosterone. And our health and longevity matters much more than whether or not we are good sexual partners. Let's go back in time to about 5 years ago. Around a year after I left my husband and was made redundant from my high-flying London City career job. I had a period of being in a deep burnout depression. I was clawing my way out of that and starting to feel something else than just blackness. I was navigating life as a single special needs mum, and I was not right beyond depressed. I had gotten as far as realizing that what I was feeling was not just depression, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. I was very anxious. I wasn't just anxious all the time. I was anxious about going shopping. I was anxious about being out amongst people. It was oddly specific. I was in pain all the time. My joints ached, my muscles ached. I felt stiff, like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, like I needed somebody to come and give me a little bit of an oil treatment. You know, everything creaked. Nothing could really move. And I was beyond tired. I had a bone-deep fatigue. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to get out of the house. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to bake. I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to vlog. I didn't want to do anything. I was sweating at night. I would wake up every night feeling like I was lying in a bathtub full of water. And so I couldn't sleep. I was highly irritable. There was one day, I had the girls, of course, so I had both my children with me, one of whom is severely disabled in a wheelchair and with a very strong startle reflex, I might add. It's not like she could get away from me. I dropped a bottle of balsamic vinegar, and I dropped it in such a way that the bottle not only broke, but I had shattered glass and balsamic vinegar splatter in 3 rooms. This should not be physically possible, but somehow I managed it. And of course, one of those rooms had carpet. I just stood there looking at this mess of glass and vinegar, and I screamed every swear word I know in both English and Swedish, and I probably made up a few more. And for every scream, my disabled daughter jumped in her wheelchair, and my non-disabled daughter just slowly backed out of the room and walked away from me. And honestly, I should have laughed. No, it's not funny dropping a bottle, and it's not funny having to clean up after it, but just the slapstick of it breaking in such a way that it destroyed 3 rooms. It didn't destroy 3 rooms. It felt like it destroyed 3 rooms. It felt like it destroyed my life at the time, right? But that was the level of not being in control of my emotions that I was. And that was one of my canary moments of, oh crap, I need help. There is something going on here that I can't fix on my own, and I need help. Hey. I wanted to talk to you about our free mini course, The Burnout Reset. I have burnt out twice, and I'm not talking about the, oh, I don't feel excited about this anymore, I must be a bit burnt out, that you so often hear about on social media. No, I'm talking about not being able to feel excitement about anything. Extreme anxiety and failing at even simple tasks. Despite being a highly capable woman, I just couldn't cope with anything. If any of that sounds familiar, the Burnout Reset is for you. You see, I learned a lot from my experience. The warning signs of burnout, the symptoms, but more importantly, how to actually heal and come back to yourself afterwards. In the Burnout Reset, you will learn what burnout looks like and what your personal energy thieves are. And you will get a list of small, doable steps to get some energy back that I promise you actually do help. This is how I managed to be a single mom with a medically complex child, work full-time, run 2 online brands, and feel energized instead of overwhelmed. Sign up to the Burnout Reset for free on subscribepage.io/4ATWME, or better yet, just click or copy the link in the description. As a bonus, you will also be signed up to our email list for more connection and support. My skin was itchy, my ears were itchy, my nails were dry and brittle, and my hair was falling out in clumps. That was me 5 years ago. 3 years ago, I had finally gotten to the point of realizing that I was right. I wasn't just depressed. I wasn't just burnt out. I was perimenopausal, and even better, gotten to a point of making an appointment with a women's health specialist at my local GP. If there's any advice I have for any woman when it comes to not feeling themselves and realizing they're perimenopausal and wanting to talk to somebody about it, whether they want to talk about hormones or other ways of managing the symptoms, is when you make that appointment, ask to speak to a women's health specialist. The vast majority of surgeries have them, whether that is a prescribing nurse practitioner or a GP, doesn't actually matter, but you want somebody who's trained in women's health. That's free from me to you. I went to my GP, I spoke to a women's health specialist, I got prescribed estrogen and progesterone, because that's what the NHS prescribes. Estrogen to help with the fluctuating estrogen levels, progesterone because I still have my uterus and that helps protect the uterine lining so you don't develop endometrial cancer. Okay? Progesterone does so much more than that, by the way, but let's stick to testosterone today. And I felt almost instantly better. I think it took 3 days and I felt a difference. And that's fast. For a lot of women, they don't feel a difference for weeks or even months. I then had a slight wobble because I live with an overactive thyroid condition, and suddenly adding estrogen to my system made my thyroid go, what's happening? And I had about 5 days of thinking that I had a massive thyroid flare-up. But I did the right thing. I went to my endocrinologist, I got the blood tests, everything was normal. And after 5 days, that calmed right down. But I had that initial just, what's happening coming from my thyroid. Again, another story. We're talking about testosterone. But yes, I started feeling much better. And I came out of this incredibly dark, gloomy mood. I started sleeping better. I was less itchy, less moody, less anxious, less forgetful. Oh my God, I forgot to mention the brain fog. Talking about perimenopause symptoms, and I forgot to mention the brain fog. Right. Concentrate, Tova, concentrate. Yes, I got a lot better, but I still felt like something was missing. There was a point that the estrogen and progesterone together did not go past. Yes, my mood was better and more level, but it certainly wasn't good. And my brain fog was better. But it certainly wasn't good. And by the way, these aren't miracle drugs. I have been on estrogen for 3 years and testosterone for 1 year now. And as you can tell, I still have my glorious moments. But they certainly make things a lot better. Yes, so overall, I was feeling better. But I wasn't feeling as good as I knew I could and as I knew I deserved. And particularly the issues around muscle and joint pain were very much there. I was losing a lot of weight. I was losing a lot of strength. I definitely was losing muscle mass, and I did not like that. Particularly as I'm doing manual handling with a severely disabled child all the time. She's not getting smaller, okay? I need my strength for that. There's a lot of additional stresses that come from being a complex needs mom. You know, we are in and out of hospital. There's one crisis after another. There's a lot of administrative crap to maneuver around her. There's doctor's appointments here, there and everywhere, and trying to get all of these different medical experts to speak to each other and coordinate their efforts. You know, it's not easy. It's very, very stressful having a child like my daughter. And on top of that, I also had the stresses of general life, of work, of managing on my own, of co-parenting with a person where there is a general dislike, and also trying to navigate a new relationship and be in there. So I knew I wanted something else, and I was beginning to learn about testosterone. And now, libido was not an issue. Libido's never been an issue. Like that part, I'm good. I'm perfectly happy. Yes, as any woman, I do go through periods of having lower libido, and I have had such periods since starting testosterone as well. You know, I never wanted testosterone for the sex drive, and I have actually never felt that testosterone has had a massive impact on my sex drive, even since starting it. Maybe a bit of a boost. But women's sexuality is so much more than just what's happening here. It's much more about what's happening here. And yes, testosterone very much affects what's happening up here, but so does a lot of other factors. And so I was a guest on the Dr. Louise Newson podcast, which was a really fantastic experience and may have contributed to me wanting to start this podcast. You never know, Louise, you might actually have been a real spark for me there. She offered me the chance to speak to one of her doctors about testosterone, and I jumped on it. Absolutely. Yes, I want to talk to an expert about this. And so I had a long appointment and I was given a private prescription for testosterone, so I paid for it and I tried it. And that for me was the missing piece of the puzzle. That is what really shifted my hormone replacement therapy. I am stronger. I am happier. I have more drive. I've started a podcast, for heaven's sake. Could I have done that without the testosterone? Yes, probably, but could I have navigated the difficult technical parts around it with the comparable ease that I did it? No, I don't think I could have. As I said, I've actually put on a dress size and I feel so much better about myself. I wouldn't mind putting on another one, but one step at a time. I'm finding it so much easier to keep a handle on my mood and my irritability nowadays. I am much less anxious. I no longer lose my car key between unlocking the car and sitting down on it, although I apparently forget that I have the car key for the car that I am driving. I believe I told you about that in a previous episode, but that was a very stressful day. You are forgiven for extra brain fog on a very stressful day, okay? You get a free pass, trust me on this one. But it wasn't reasonable for me to keep paying for testosterone as a private prescription at the time, and I wanted to get it on the NHS. And so I went to my GP, the one who's managing my hormone replacement therapy. I told her that I had been trying testosterone and I wanted to have it prescribed on the NHS, and she was furious with me. How dare I go and try something privately? How dare I make a choice about my body? How dare I make an informed decision? How dare I research and find out about something that might help me and then go ahead and try that? I mean, honestly, who do I think I am? Shocking behavior. Do I not know that as a woman I should know my place? I really don't. I argued my case. I said straight out, I don't want testosterone for libido. I don't have an issue with libido. I have a very hot man. I do not have an issue with libido. What I want is to feel strong enough, both physically and emotionally, to manage my life and to look after my severely disabled child. Please help me be a strong enough mum to my child. I'm not asking you for a better sex life. I'm asking you to help me be a better mum. She was still not happy. She wanted me to stop taking testosterone for 3 months so that she could get a baseline blood test to know what my testosterone levels are when I don't supplement with it. I said no. I said there's got to be a way around it. Surely you can take a blood test now and make a fairly informed guess as to what it would have been without being on testosterone for 3 months. In the end, she somewhat relented. She refused to make that decision by herself, but unbeknownst to me, we apparently have a menopause service here in Bedfordshire. I had no idea. But there is apparently an NHS menopause clinic in Bedford. And so she got me a referral to that clinic. And I had a phone appointment with a doctor there who really is a hormone specialist. And she was not in the least worried that I had tried testosterone privately. She was very pleased with hearing me describe how it had affected me so far. She said that there was absolutely no reason for me to stop taking it, but yes, she definitely wanted a testosterone blood test now. And so I did that blood test, and after 3 months of being on testosterone through a private prescription, my testosterone was at the very lower end of normal physiological range for a woman my age. That was after 3 months on it. I can guess that it was certainly not even within a normal physiological range for a woman my age before I started taking it. And within normal physiological range does not mean optimal level. It just means that there's quite a wide range that we women naturally produce. I have now been on testosterone for a year. I did have one blood test that put me at the upper end of the normal physiological range. Now, that particular blood test, I'd actually forgotten I had a testosterone blood test that morning, and so I put my testosterone on about an hour and a half before I had my blood test. Probably not ideal. That was probably a bit of a mistake on my part, because I would have had the blood test done when my testosterone levels were at their highest. I have now had a follow-up blood test and we are back down, not towards the lower end, but sort of the lower half, just by not taking testosterone on the morning of the blood test. So I don't think there's any reason for me to stop this. I also don't have the side effects associated with too high testosterone. My voice certainly hasn't gotten deeper. I don't have an issue with acne. I don't have an issue with unwanted hair growth. I mean, obviously I have the odd irritating thing sprouting out of my chin here, because what 49-year-old woman doesn't? How do you recognize a 49-year-old woman? Because she's sitting like this with a pair of tweezers. Yes, because the NHS has not caught up with testosterone prescriptions for women, there is no female product licensed for use on the NHS in the UK. And that's why I have these sachets. This is a male product. It's a male dose. And no, I do not slather this whole sachet on. You're supposed to make the sachet last 8 days. I average 10 days. I could probably increase the amount I'm using, but I also realized that I feel very good at the level that I'm on at the moment, so I don't feel the need to stress it too much. I squeeze out a small pea size amount. You know the petit pois? You know those peas? They're smaller than normal garden peas. It's about that much that I squeeze out. And I don't think it would make any difference to me where I put it, but the advice is to put it somewhere where you don't have natural hair growth. So don't put it on your lower legs, basically, because you might get more leg hair. I either put it on my lower back, upper buttocks, or the inside of my wrist, because I have no hair growing here. And actually I found that this is a very good place. I just squeeze out my little blob and I do this. Very easy. And I feel good. And I really think that more women should be able to access this on the NHS. Even women who are not special needs mums. And as I said before, even women who are not in a relationship with a man. I can't tell you how you should approach it, but I hope that my story is helpful and maybe gives you some ideas. I mean, do your research. If you think testosterone is for you, arm yourself with research. Know your numbers. Know that women produce more testosterone than estrogen. Have a list of symptoms that are making you think that you have low testosterone levels. Listen to the Dr. Louise Newson podcast and the You Are Not Broken podcast with Dr. Kelly Casperson. Go out and find the experts who know about testosterone for women, who understand it and who are advocating for it. Frame it as a trial. Say, can I just try it, please? Can we do a blood test before? Can I try it for 3 months? We do a blood test after. We talk about how my symptoms have changed in this time. Like, can I just try? Ask if there is a menopause expert in your area that you can talk to. If you're talking to a doctor who's very against this, is there a menopause expert in this area? Is there a menopause clinic in this area that is funded by the NHS that I can talk to, that I can get a second opinion from? And honestly, lie. Cry about how bad your sex life is and how horrible that is for you. If that's what it takes. I can't lie for toffee. I do not have poker face. I don't know how to do it. And so I couldn't go in and say, oh, I want to have better sex because my sex life, I really miss my libido. Like, I couldn't do that. And that's why I said up front, I'm not here because of my libido. That's how I as a person function. But if that's what you can do and need to do in order to get this prescribed, go ahead and do it. And don't go overboard. Don't use the whole sachet. The whole sachet is a male dose, unless you actually want to transition. Oh my God. I actually had that comment on a reel I made about testosterone. Somebody commented, wow, I wouldn't believe you were on testosterone. You look so feminine. And I'm like, yes. I'm not trying to transition into a man. I'm trying to be the best woman I can be. And testosterone is most definitely a female hormone.
From ashes